Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Shalom. Assalamu alaikum. It's wonderful to be back with you here on Points of Light Radio. I thought in this particular segment, I would just take, shall we say, another pause and go over some of what we've learned in our journey so far since the last time, shall we say, that we took a pause along the way. I do hope you're enjoying Points of Light Radio so far. I know I'm enjoying taking this journey with you. But as I said, I just want to recap some of the segments I've brought you so far since our last pause. Did you like Leonard Math and the Fraternal Order of Eagles? Didn't you appreciate him coming on here? And I will say this. I loved his appreciation of what the Fraternal Order of Eagles had done for him. I think it's amazing that someone could join, at that stage in their life. It goes to show you that it's never too late to join, right? Any of these fraternal organizations. He talked about how he joined later in life, and he really appreciated what it had done for him. And how about Sir Knight Michael Thomas and the Royal Black Preceptories? Wasn't that fascinating, learning about the Royal Black Preceptories after getting after touching on it a little bit in a previous segment with my buddy there, Owen Snowden? It was quite interesting to see Sir Knight Thomas's appreciation of that. And I'm not done with Sir Knight Thomas, I might add. He has talked about coming back here. Right now, he's over in, as far as I know, over in Ulster, visiting some friends from what I've seen of it. And I'm looking forward to having him back. And let's talk about the Order of the Secret Monitor and my friend Michael Duke. Right? Wasn't that interesting, right? In invitation only, a pendant body of Freemasonry. I thought that was fascinating. And just so that you know, he might be visiting us again. I've been trying to get in touch with him. I know he's busy. So, but he might be coming back here to talk about one of the other appendant bodies of Freemasonry he belongs to. And let's talk about my old friend here, Jamie James, right? Wasn't it wonderful having him back here talking about the Grand United Order of Odd Fellows? And weren't those the differences between the International Order of Odd Fellows and the Grand United Order of Odd Fellows interesting? Did you not find that? That was really fascinating, actually, to see the differences between them. In their degree system and everything else. I had no idea they were that different, right? The only thing that's really a little more similar, shall we say, the only thing that's similar is their symbolism. The degree system was quite different, wasn't it? And I could keep saying, I'm going through these. If you haven't watched these segments, I encourage you to go back and take that look, right? And how about my new friend, Deputy Grand Master of the Masonic Order of Athelstan, Mr. Anthony Burke, right? Now, had you ever heard of the Masonic Order of Athelstan before? I can almost guarantee you that there are Freemasons who've never heard of them. So, isn't that wonderful? We are raising awareness, staying true to the aim of this podcast, right? And then, of course, as I keep saying, my buddy Owen Snowden, talking about the Grand United Order of the Knights of the Golden Horn. There again, had you ever heard of the Grand United Order of the Knights of the Golden Horde before? Right? I hadn't, right? I hadn't. And, right. And for your information, he's coming back on, right? He will be back on here talking about another fraternal organization he belongs to, right? And how about my new friend, Richard Dean from Prince Hall Freemasonry? That gentleman was a lot of fun having on here. And there are people in Freemasonry, shall we say, that have never heard of even the Prince Hall Freemasons. And I thought that was very, very fascinating. And I will also say this, I'm not done with Prince Hall Freemasonry. Okay. I'm going to be bringing some more Prince Hall Freemasons on here, just so that you know. I had no idea it was such an extensive body of Freemasonry. So it's going to be wonderful to shed a little further light on Prince Hall Freemasonry. And then again, let's talk about Billy Chan and the Knights of Rizal. Had you ever heard of the Knights of Rizal? I hadn't until I began my research. It's quite a fascinating organization. I've received, I might add, a lot of kudos for that segment from the Knights of Rizal. You know, and those of you who are in the Knights of Rizal who are studying it, let's have your chapter on here. I'm not done with the Knights of Rizal, and I said that as well. I'm not done with the Knights of Rizal. We will be featuring the Knights of Rizal further here on Points of Light Radio. And as I keep saying, I feel like I'm making friends here. I really do. This has been a wonderful time. But I keep saying some of my questions still haven't been asked, or still haven't been answered. They've been asked many times for sure. One of them is the fact that why do we know so much about, especially with the U.S. presidents, there seems to be this thing about this ongoing conspiracy, shall we say, about U.S. presidents and Freemasonry. Right? We know so much about them, but I keep saying this. Why do we not remember that many of them, and you'll hear me when I talk about these organizations, the different presidents and senators and so on, who entertainers, even sports figures, who've been involved in these other organizations. A favorite one of mine was the Fraternal Order of Eagles. If you recall, this is a prime example. The Fraternal Order of Eagles have had the following presidents as members: Theodore Roosevelt, Warren G. Harding, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, John F. Kennedy, Jimmy Carter, and Ronald Reagan. Now, I do know that Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, I believe even Warren Harding were Freemasons. Right? Why do we know that, but we don't remember the fact that they were also in the Fraternal Order of Eagles, as well as some other ones, right? Why is it we don't remember that? Why do conspiracy theorists not talk about that? Right? And a burning question I've had as I've went along is, how can we repackage and reinvent these organizations to make them more attractive to the millennials and Gen Z? My guest and I have discussed this, but what do you think? On a personal level, I think that we have to wire some of these lodges and meeting rooms up with high-speed, fiber optic cable, and we have to allow these millennials and Gen Z's types to come in there and have video game tournaments and play Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and all of those things right? Let them come in there and do that, and maybe hold a meeting afterwards or beforehand even. But just let them be themselves while they're there. I really do think that's a big part of going forward. One of the things they could do, and that's just my humble opinion. I want to point that out as well, right? But there's another thing I want to ask. Okay, what happens if you swear in a Masonic meeting or any of these other fraternal organizations? What happens if you do? I'm sure they don't allow swearing, but what happens if you do? Is there a fine that you pay? Are you sanctioned somehow? I'm going to have to ask some of my guests that. From my research, I've noticed that fraternalism is growing in Africa and the Philippines. Now, one of my future guests, for your information, will be shedding some light on some insight on that. He'll be offering some very interesting insight on that. I'm going to leave that part there. Some of my guests have a strong faith background. Right? What do you think? Are fraternalism and faith compatible? Right? I have had some feedback that talks about how devilish Freemasonry is already. I've had some of my some comments in some comments left on my YouTube channel about that. What do you think about that? Right? And I keep asking this. Is there a pastor or a priest, reverend, rabbi, imam who wants to appear here on Points of Light Radio and discuss the idea of the pros and cons of fraternalism and faith, whether they're compatible? I'd welcome them on here. And I have, in fact, invited pastors on here who speak out against some of these fraternal organizations, and they've refused to appear. But as I keep saying, these are questions worth exploring, and I intend to do that. But going forward, just to keep you in the loop, I'll be interviewing some more members of the Black Preceptories. I was in the process of lining up an interview with the Apprentice Boys of Derry. It seems to have died on the vine. Let's see if we can't revive that. I mean, get members of your club on here, please, and the leadership from your club on here. I'd love to speak to you. We'll be interviewing some more Orangemen, as well as, I love this, there's a little known loyal order that has Canadian roots, shall we put it that way. I don't want to divulge too much here, but this order will remain nameless for the time being, but they have Canadian roots, proud to say that, and they're opening up, of course, in the UK. So I'll be having them on here. I can't wait to introduce you to this organization. It is so exciting. I keep saying that. I've reached out to there again. The gentleman who I'm trying to get in touch with, who I'm trying to bring on here, is on holidays right now. When he's back, he's promised me, I'll be holding him to that. He has promised me an interview. And of course, there will be more of our Masonic friends coming on here. As well as some other little known organizations. I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but for instance, one of them is called the Guild Companions of the Ark. Okay. There again, I heard you yell, who? Okay. Stop doing that. Okay. But there will be more organizations you've probably never heard of. I'm lining the interviews up now, finishing my communication with the potential interviewees. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, and as I keep saying, did I mention your organization? If I didn't, then you need to get your leadership to contact me or reach out to me yourself. because you won't be talking out of school. I'm not going to, ask you to divulge any secret information and things like that. But, please, as I always say, let's fellowship. But I'm afraid we're going to have to part here for now. But before we do, I want to remind you that Points of Light Radio is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. You can see my Twitter handle there at PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel, as well as my Points of Light Radio store, where you can go visit and purchase some stylish Points of Light Radio merchandise, as well as some other fraternal merchandise. I also want to point out that Points of Light Radio is available to advertise your fraternal store or event. Just get in touch with me via my Facebook page. And FYI, the journey continues in my next segment when I will be interviewing a special guest named Robert Cooper. He's an author and Freemason. He also belongs to several other fraternal organizations, and he'll be here to shed some more light on the Free Gardeners. Remember that? And I can't wait to bring you that segment. I'm going to give you a sneak peek of it right here, right now.
Of organization that has as much to offer as Freemasonry does.
Wasn't that great? I can't wait to bring you that segment. So stay tuned. But as always, brothers and sisters, as I always say, I'm always sorry to part with you. But until we meet again, just step into the light.